Greetings, all you Jackson Jennets, and welcome to your Daily Dose of Donkey with Jinja. It's your boy, the Viking Donkey, bringing Steelers talk. Week 18, playoff hopes alive. Laskers, Gingy, what did we see last week that made this so?
So
A lot of
stuff.
Gingy in the house. Oh yeah, Laskers. Oh my God, man! Ravens week, boys. Let's get. I was excited. What did I see last week, Donkey? I saw Kenny Pickett continuing to grow up. I saw some consistent play from the running back. I saw another doink heard around the world. All right, dislike. And I saw a dub. Maybe what did you see, boy?
Laskers, maybe even more importantly, is the Miami game going the Steelers' way before Sunday night, huh?
Oh, definitely. It was interesting how we got flexed into that game. It's a game that matters. So,
maybe
potentially, yeah. And the Steelers see that and it's like, hey, let's play. And the one thing I saw is old school Steelers football. Trying to run it down the throat. And I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but they were saying that the Ravens were saying that they should have gave it to Dobbins more. And
they should have.
For sure. That they were disappointed that they didn't do that. And it's like, hey, you had the same stats. Why wouldn't you do that? That's your own poor coaching.
I don't know, because that first half of that game, Gingy, I'm watching the Steelers play the Bear defense, 4 linemen, 4 linebackers, and the Ravens still run the ball down our throats to the tune of like 5.5 a carry, and I'm like, oh, God, if we can't stop them playing a Bear defense, what does that say about us? But then they do us a favor, and they do start mixing in the pass a little more. And outside of the fact that we still can't cover a tight end, I mean, Mark Andrews caught like every pass thrown to him for 100 yards or something. Outside of
111 point. His average was 11.1.
Jeez. Outside of that, though, we really shut down the wide receivers if you take away the worst penalty call of the year.
Oof. That was awful. That call was awful. I see why Cam was upset.
Something fun about this, Laskers. I want to see your take on it. I want to see your take on this. The penalty after Cam did it, even though it wasn't really Cam's fault. How about Minkah Fitzpatrick actually showing a little bit of leadership ability and getting in someone's face? That was kind of nice to see.
Oh, it was definitely nice to see. And I agree that penalty was BS. I mean, there's no way he should have been called for that.
It brings up a really...
Steelers hate.
I'm not sure about that. The ref had a bad view. He was looking down. He got bumped. I think he was mad that he got bumped, so he was going to call it on whoever hit him anyway. But it brings up a big question for me. Why the hell are blatantly bad penalties not reviewable? I get it, you can't review every judgment call, but something as terrible as that, why the hell is that not allowed to be reviewed? Why are referees perfect creatures in the eyes of the NFL, guys?
So my answer for that is, and I don't like it, is people are going to try to review something that they think is a blatant call that is not, to try to speed up the game. That's my take on it. It's to try to prevent that kind of stuff. And I don't fully agree with it, but that's what it is for.
Well, here's what I say to that, Laskers, and this is a pure one. Jen, you can jump in after that. You don't have to slow the game down. The team gets 2 challenges, a third if they're correct the second time. You let that happen. But the thing is, you can't review no calls. You like the old pass interference where it started to get really bad because people were reviewing every sketchy thing. You can't review no calls. You can only review calls that are made by the official. So if an official makes a blatantly bad call, you're able to get it challenged. And it should be done quickly because New York has a ref watching every game. They should be able, as soon as that challenge comes, be like, good call, bad call. It shouldn't take any time out of the day, and you don't add any more reviews than are already allowable under the current NFL statutes.
I'm good
Honestly,
with that.
Donkey, I think it comes down to the human factor. The referees are an authority on the field. To have their judgment be questioned wow, that might seem reasonable to us, when they're trying to impose the level of authority over the game and their expertise over the game in terms of calling it correctly, I don't think they necessarily like having that judgment questioned every so often. I think, especially
then why are reviews allowed at all?
Especially, and this is what I get to, especially on a subjective call like a personal foul. There are reviews allowable when there is clear and definitive evidence. I don't think there's ever clear and definitive, or very little clear and definitive objectionable evidence. I think that really comes down to a lot of gut call.
Definitively define what a catch is for me?
2 feet inbounds with possession through the catch in the ground, hitting the ground.
Would you like to define what the catch, possession, and through the ground mean? Because I've seen it officiated about 10 different ways.
I can define it for you
because you don't have to maintain through the ground.
I can define it for you literally, but I could not show you photo evidence.
Alright, so we're talking a subjective subject matter then. Exactly my point. We already deal with subjective matters in all these calls they make.
Okay.
As well as, Gingy, explain to me why plays are reviewable, but not fumble plays, and not based off the whistle, but based off an official's view that someone stopped moving forward. Because I saw a play this week, and I believe it was in the Miami game, where the running back fumbled the ball upon contact. Didn't get pushed backwards. There was no contact prior. First contact makes the guy fumble the ball. Irreviewable because he was ruled to be down by contact and forward momentum stopped when he never even got touched before the fumble happened.
Again, Donkey, I know it might be inconsistent. I know it might be inconsistent, but like it or not, the human element and human ego still plays a factor into refereeing. And I think a lot of these guys, the culture in that type of industry is that these guys aren't liking to be questioned. You talk about why are there replays at all? If you allowed it up to that union, there wouldn't be replays at all. If you allowed it solely up to that union, I think you're completely right. But
it has to be one or the other, because you can't tell me that a fumble is more important than a bad personal foul call, or a fumble is more important than a pass interference where the guy didn't even touch him, because I've seen a few of those where they're blatantly obvious one way or the other. I'm not saying tic-tac judgment calls should be reviewable. If you review that, a ref should say, no, that's not reviewable. But these blatantly obvious missed calls, if you're going to review stuff, you have to review everything that's a potential to be in a huge play. I'm not saying add penalties in because I think that's dumb. But anytime a ref throws the flag and it's questionable, you should be able to question it. Because you say that, Gingy, but we are allowed to review some penalties, a la 12 men on the field. So penalties are already a thing they state is reviewable if it's pretty obvious it's not capable to be the right call.
So here's how I'm going to counter that, and I'm sorry for stepping on you, Gingy, but Donkey, I know you're a baseball fan.
Robo-umps, baby, they already do reviews, Robo-umps.
No. Why can't you review a balls and strike call? So say you're in the 9th inning.
I agree with you, but it's because Laskers, and hear me out, balls and strikes are purely subjective based off an umpire's view of balls and strikes. There's no actual definition to balls and strikes when being called in-game. That's why it's unreviewable, and that's why you heard my first statement. Robo-umps, baby, let's go. Because they have the technology. They already put replay in.
With that.
Once you take the human element out and let replay happen, you can't go halfway. It needs to be a full commitment. So I'm going to be on the same stance either way. People can feel I'm wrong. You're totally entitled to feel I'm wrong. But my personal feeling is once you bring that level of review ability in, you can't stop it. You can't say we're going to use technology, but only to where I think it's good.
Now, the one thing I would say about robo-umps is they need to figure out how to adjust the strike zone for taller players. That's the only thing I'm going to say, because we're not talking about baseball here, but that would be how you fix that problem, because right now the robo-umps would not be good enough.
All right, I kind of feel bad here because we started this whole talk, but we missed one of the biggest things, and I've already talked about it if you listen to the bug cap. That's why I didn't bring it up first. But honestly, the scariest moment I ever saw on a football field happened Monday night. I don't know if you guys were watching, but If you
I
saw
was.
those players' reactions, man, I've never seen 100 grown men on a football field react the way they did. You were seeing tears. You were seeing people with 1,000-yard stares. That's stuff you don't see. And this is a culture. Of course, I'm talking the Damar Hamlin injury. Glad he's doing okay, able to right now. Think he's breathing on his own again.
He is breathing on his own.
Feel good for T. Higgins that he didn't have to deal with any of that because he did nothing wrong in that situation either. Some stupid idiots that were trying to say stuff to T. Higgins about it. That's just dumb. But you get 100 men on the field looking the way they did. It had to be a lifeless body at some point. That had to be scary. Good thing the NFL did what they did. I thought ESPN's handling of it was really good, just given what was actually known and just trying to get players' opinions out there. And I thought it was really good to have guys who broke bones and been in bad situations like Booger McFarland, Ryan Clark, talk about how when they break a leg, tear an ACL, it's next thing up. But this is something different. And I really loved hearing from Ryan Clark because, he's a guy who almost died on the football field due to his sickle cell trait and playing in Denver. What did you guys think about that? Because that's kind of a big story out there right now.
Yeah, crazy. Super unlucky. Just a really freak thing. My understanding, I don't know anything. I'm definitely not a doctor. I don't know anything about it medically, but that's just sort of a freak accident, right? Getting hit at the wrong time.
If it's what they say, that mitrosis, where it's the thing in the heart cycle. I've heard of a few kids dying who play baseball from it, from getting hit by a ball, and it just causes that. And so, super freak thing. And I've personally never heard about it happening in football, if that is in fact what happened in this case.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing is they really don't know.
Yeah.
There's no way you can prove that that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But, so, I will actually call myself out on this one. I said, ESPN was talking about how nothing has ever happened like that, and I texted Donkey and Gingy about, the Shazier thing. But, at the same time, we didn't actually know that his heart stopped. That is...
Well, my text back to you was, Laskers, look at those dudes. You've never seen something like that. And when you hear they're doing CPR... I was like,
well, and when I texted you, they hadn't said that yet, and that's that. When as soon as they said CPR, that's when I'm like, oh shit. And sorry for my language, but that is not good. And thank God he is still here. And there has never been anything like this. Now, I guess there actually has been. I read the story. I don't remember exactly what time frame. There actually was a player that died in the NFL on the field.
There's a Detroit guy 53-ish years ago. Yeah, he walked off the field and collapsed afterwards. So that was probably more of a heart attack thing happened. There was also, I know there's a guy,
which is technically what this is a heart attack.
There's Akron or Kent State where a guy had heart bleeding, so that was just could have happened anytime, anywhere. One, I know he has a retired number at one of those two schools. I feel bad that I don't remember it now, but man, I'm not going to lie. I've watched football for, let's just say 32 years, coming out of the womb watching football. Okay, fair enough. We'll say that.
Yeah, you pretty much have been.
I've watched people get paralyzed on the field. I've watched legs turn the wrong direction. I watched a play that literally made me puke because I saw the dude's arm just snap, right? I watched Byron Leftwich snap an arm while I was at a game, I believe, in person. That was the scariest thing I've ever seen on a football field. I just knew, judging off the people's there. Like, I've seen that look before. Any one time you see that look, people saw something they shouldn't see. That just lost 1,000-yard stare. I don't know how that game could have got played. If you look at those players, I don't think either team would have put up anything relative to football. And the way these guys play, how fast they are, that's dangerous to have put them, if they would have put them back out on the field. That would have just been dangerous for anyone who was involved.
So I got one thing, and it's going to be an early shout-out. I got to give a shout-out to Tomlin and his comments on it for actually knowing Damar and what he said about him and everything. That was a stand-up and the perfect response to what happened.
Oh, yeah, I mean, everyone knows, if you're in the Pittsburgh area, everyone knew who Damar Hamlin is, right? Central Catholic kid, grew up in bad circumstances, goes to Pitt. Everyone in Pittsburgh knew who Damar Hamlin was.
And everyone knows I'm not a Tomlin fan, but that was the perfect response from a coach that actually knew him.
I'll say the two people who deserve the biggest shout out here, because I don't know what the NFL actually said, but I know at one point the rumor was they were trying to restart the game. I give a huge shout out to both the coaches there, because I'll tell you right now, Zach Taylor got the ref, came over to McDermott, and you could see him say, "We're not playing this game." Like, there's no doubt that's what it was. It's that we can't play this game. And
yeah, no, that's
the coaches there, the NFL there, everyone made the right decision at the end, which is good to see. It's great to hear the good news about DeMar, because the first couple shows I did this week, the news was encouraging, but it wasn't anything where he's back with everybody yet. So it was good to see that out there. Good wishes there. Maybe now, after all our fun NFL talk, actually, I'll give you guys a closing thought on that situation.
I was going to say, I got one more. The coolest thing I thought was what DeMar said when he finally woke up and could write. He was still on a breathing tube, so he couldn't talk. Did we win the game? That's the coolest thing. That's the coolest thing.
Through and through, these dudes are gladiators. Through and through, Gingy, these dudes are gladiators, and
100% praying for recovery for that young man.
I definitely am being in Bill's territory.
I think everybody is.
Being a semi-Bills fan at this point.
So let's get into it now. We're a long ways in, but who knows? Sometimes NFL things are more important. Let's talk about the whole way the NFL is going to handle that canceled game now. It seems pretty good unless you're Cincinnati and you have to go to Buffalo with no thought about anything else. If Kansas City, Buffalo, and Cincy all win this week, if they both get into round 2, Cincy gets to go to Buffalo without any chance of having the game at Cincy, even though if Cincy wins the game at Buffalo and then would have won this week, they would have been the home field advantage team. You guys think that's a little bit unfair to the Bengals out there, or are we loving it because, hey, AFC North, take that, Cincy?
In my personal opinion, I think it's unfair. Even being a Steelers fan and in the Buffalo area, I think it's completely unfair, and they really should reevaluate it if Cincy and Buffalo play. They need to do it. Besides at the AFC Championship, where they've already figured out that we're gonna do a neutral site. If they play before that, they need to go to a neutral site. Detroit's probably going to be open, so you can go there.
At this point, it might just be better that we don't play games in Cincinnati, huh, Gingy? But everything coming down to a coin flip, man, I feel like I watched this movie, and I feel like Billy Bob Thornton was in this movie. I feel like this is like Friday Night Lights, some Texas Quad A football tiebreaker BS going on, Gingy.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish there was a better way, and frankly, I'm surprised that all the owners are in agreement with this type of thing. Somebody could potentially lose out on an AFC Championship game at their home stadium, and that's quite a bit of money that we're talking about for these individual teams. I'm surprised any ownership or any union would let that happen.
Well, remember, this is only going to happen in the case of cancellations because it's in the case where the teams have a differential based off not having the same amount of games played, right?
Correct.
So I think a lot of owners agree because they're like, oh, this is going to be a one-off thing, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's a one-off thing that gets removed after the season type of deal. They had to do something to fix it this week, but I mean, that was a weird thing to do for it. Yeah, but now that I'm all done with NFL news, I gotta keep us going, I guess, but I could talk about this all day. But we don't want an hour and a half of donkey because that's annoying. Laskers, break down the Steelers game against the Baltimore Ravens. As Shinji would say, a snot knocker with a double strap chin strap. And that's exactly what it was, right?
Oh, it definitely was. And, the biggest thing is, somehow we got the run to work. And, basically that's all we had going for us. I mean, granted, we got a touchdown not from running, but that's basically all we had going for us. And we had another missed field goal, and I don't know if you guys saw this or not. They're like on the internet. They're like, maybe we should challenge Boswell next year. And it's like, yeah, that's probably a good plan.
I expect the second highest paid kicker in the NFL to make more than 70% of his kicks. I'm just going to say that. And not to mention his kickoff lows this year. We've had kickoffs out of bounds at bad times. Every other game against a good team, it seems like they have a huge kick return. Why is Boswell just not kicking the ball out of the back of the end zone? I don't know. He apparently has the leg strength of Nick Skiba right now, which is saying very, very little about it, Gingy.
We need Jeffrey.
Yeah, I brought it up at the beginning of the show. That was a big concern for me. The major doink, the look on his face. I think he hit two for three in that game.
Right?
3 for 4.
Yeah, so 3 for 4.
Excuse me. So still a reasonable performance, but too many misses this season for the stature and the tenure of the guy. The guy there. Would love to see him have some competition. Other thoughts from the game, like I said, summed it up at the beginning. Fantastic end of the game play by Kenny Pickett. Really sort of, again, didn't blow it throughout, didn't knock my socks off, but we had a really consistent running game going. But that final drive, Donkey, oh my gosh, them throws across the middle, man. That throw to Sims. Oh my gosh.
That window, bro. That window's like an inch.
Oh boy, that
throw to fire move.
Pucker up.
I'll say this, Gingy. When you let Kenny Pickett go and not have to be clamped down by Matt Canada, he looks pretty good. And as I said, if you listen to the Bugcap, Matt Canada now up to almost Sunday level play calling, but not quite yet. I still feel he belongs on Saturdays based on a lot of these play calls. But a couple things I thought were fun and interesting. The Bear defense not being able to really stop the run. Like I said, Dobbins had 5.5 yards a carry.
Stopped it enough.
Didn't force turnovers till the last play of the game where who the heck was that dude throwing the football to? I'll never know. Only one sack the whole game, but hey, TJ got it going, and that might be an important thing as I'll point out coming to this week. But offensively, that run game really got it going. A little trickeration to get Jalen Warren in some space looked really good. But again, I'm going to call out all three of the top receivers. Deontay Johnson, you have to get 2 feet down in bounds, okay? It's that simple. Every week, it seems, he's making a play that's out of bounds. George Pickens.
College play.
Dude, you're a rookie, I get it, but you have to know where the sideline is, and when you're working there, you cannot step out of bounds. That is, I'll give it this. That's a rookie mistake, but at the end of the rookie year, that can't be happening. And Pat Freiermuth, 2 huge mistakes by him. The false start. First and goal from the 3, there's no doubt. 3 run plays, we're getting it in. No doubt. Freiermuth false starts, we don't get it in. Pickett throws a jump ball to Pickens, and George Pickens doesn't come down with it. He should have. Neither here nor there. And then Freiermuth later, I believe it was on a 3rd down play, just drops a football that would have been a 1st down. These are things these guys need to stop missing opportunities because in games against good teams, you can't miss opportunities or you'll end up on the wrong side of the score sheet. I know we beat a winning team, but does anyone really believe Baltimore without Lamar Jackson's a good team?
No. And to just follow your point, we have 36 yards as the best receiver last week. That's embarrassing.
We had 2 different receivers drop 20-yard passes.
Yeah, but that's embarrassing. We shouldn't be at that point. We shouldn't even, and I hate to say this, you should not win a game when your best receiver, Pat Freiermuth, has 36 yards.
It is what it is. It was a close game. It was a run-based game. Kenny distributed the ball all over the place.
But you play a better team, and we get 100 and actually almost 200 yards rushing. But that's good. But you play a better team, 36 yards ain't gonna win a game.
I disagree with that, and this is what I'm going to say. It's total offensive production you need to look at, not solo games. Certain teams are not going to let you pass the ball, and if you can just run it down their throat, why the hell would you do anything else? What I will say in this game, where you're right, is we were playing from behind a lot, and seemed like we had no sense of urgency to try and go score. It's like, we're going to, as Zoidy texted me, we're playing to win this game with 6 field goals. Well, he wasn't wrong. That's really what they tried to do, but this is what happened. We missed one of them, so you can't win the game kicking field goals when you miss a field goal, and we had to let Kenny go play hero, as Gingy likes to say. And hey, watching Kenny play hero ball is pretty fun, Gingy. 2 weeks in a row, NFL first time ever, a rookie with 2 back-to-back weeks, fourth quarter touchdowns in the final couple minutes. Kind of fun.
He pulled it off. What a dog. He pulled it off. Kenny's a dog.
And if anyone's curious, go read Mark Madden's article that he put out Friday last week about how Kenny Pickett's a bum, a bust, and can't do anything. If you want some fun stuff, because Mark Madden, the piece of awesome garbage he is, goes ahead and I swear he just says what the opposite of the common opinion is because he wants the clicks. And if you go with the opposite, people get more likely to read something they're offended at than something they like because America. But yeah, if you want to know who I really hate in sports media, Kurt Papajoe, you're off the list today. Mark Madden, you're in the eyes, looking square at you. But closing thoughts on the game, Laskers, Gingy, great win, keeps playoff hopes alive, 8-8. How the hell did we get here, Gingy?
Great play after the bye. Consistent reps for Kenny. Good growth for this young offense, I think. My goodness, we're looking at all these guys and we're being, critical. I think really in their key development phases. We've got Deontay as a veteran. Pryor second year, Najee second year, Pickens first year, Pickett first year. Like, man, this thing could come together in the next 2 to 3 years. It really could. I mean, there's potential there.
No doubt about that at all. Lots of potential, Laskers. You liking what you're seeing with this team going 8-8, or is this more of a dang, I wish they would have only won 5 games type of season?
No, I'm actually liking what I see because no matter what, Tomlin's actually safe. And, actually he's done a very good job. We'll give him the credit for after the bye. Gingy is 100% right. The bye is where the team turned around, and we've actually made a lot of improvements. And, I got to give a lot of credit to the offensive line because we all thought that offensive line was going to be complete trash this year.
Left side still is. Although they are decent at run blocking,
disagree.
I will give them that. They opened up some nice holes, so I won't be too mad. But still, that left side, I don't know if you saw the game-winning touchdown, but Kenny Pickett does a little fake handoff and almost gets killed by JPP. Hey, thank goodness JPP lost a finger in a fireworks accident, because if he had one more finger, Kenny might have went down there. Thank you,
smokes.
JPP. But it is what it is. A win's awesome. Player evaluation might be questionable, as I'm not going to lie, when you play an only run game, watching Robert Spillane and Mark Robinson get in there and run downhill and fire. Those two guys look so much better in run stopping than Miles Jack or Devin Bush. Devin Bush, clearly the best cover backer we have, but I don't think Miles Jack should see the field again. He should be supplanted right now by Spillane as a starting back and in running downs by Mark Robinson. I don't know if either of you want to change my mind on that, or if you have any thoughts about Robinson finally getting some playing time. Good old Rook.
Heck yeah, I called it out at the beginning, got to see it on there. Don't know if Bush is going to be able to keep his job long term, but we shall see. I'm not disappointed.
Laskers, any closing thoughts before I go to Gingy for a differential before we get into the Cleveland game?
No, I don't think I have any closing thoughts.
All right, Gingy, differential for the Steelers win over the Ravens. The thriller, the 16-13, is that right?
Yes.
16-13 final.
Absolutely, Donkey. Differential coming at you. We've been talking about it the whole time. Running the football. And not only that, running it with some command, with some force, not just to set up plays later on, not just as a dummy call because you don't have anything else you want to call is too risky on first down, but running it with production and running it with force. Seeing some people get run over. Najee Harris, the differential in the Ravens game.
Well, nice to see him put his hands out there and catch the ball. That was really good. He's another guy, I guess you could say, is starting to really step it up. As I said, my favorite Najee game was this week. He finally runs like a 220-pound man, making one cut, finding someone, and hitting them in the teeth. But that brings us Pittsburgh versus Cleveland. We all know how it went down the first week of this season. The overall series now is 79-62-1. The Steelers, where they're playing this week at home, are 49-22. On the road, they're 30-40-1. The biggest win was Cleveland by 51. Pittsburgh's by 43 for their biggest. The longest streak, Cleveland had an 8-gamer. Pittsburgh had a 12-gamer. The current streak is the Streaks with 1. That was the last meeting this year. Much of the same we're looking at in this game. However, Jadeveon Clowney just got sent away from the team, so losing one of their top pass rushers. Myles Garrett's still out there. I believe Denzel Ward is questionable. I believe there's something really fun I want to say about the injury front before I pass it over to Gingy, and that's Jack Conklin, the right tackle, isn't going to play, which means Bird or something's going to start in his spot. And the last time he played against the Steelers, TJ Watt had 4 sacks, Gingy.
Let's go. We're going to need some of that. One of the biggest differences, I think, Donkey, is that we did not see a Deshaun Watson Cleveland Browns the first time we played them this season. He does add another dimension at the quarterback position. They are going to be more than just Nick Chubb this time around. So some pressure on the quarterback will be much welcomed.
But what if I was to tell you offensively the Cleveland Browns were better with some brisket back there playing quarterback, Gingy?
I'd tell you that you're full of shit, Donkey. I mean, yeah, you can go ahead and say whatever you want on numbers, but in terms of dimensions of offense, Deshaun opens up way more doors and way more plays for you than Brisket ever does. Hey, nothing against him, right? Very serviceable.
He used to.
Very serviceable.
That is my question, Laskers, and I want to go straight to you on that. Gingy thinks that Deshaun Watson is still that guy. Do you think, based off what you've seen so far, Deshaun Watson is still that guy? I'm not saying he doesn't have the potential to get back there, but judging off the 4 or 5 games he's played this year, he certainly has not looked like that guy, in my personal opinion.
No, I don't think he is at all. I mean, watching what he's done so far this year, I think he is not. I'm not going to say washed up because I do agree that he has a potential to get up there. and I don't know what your game, Donkey, is, but in my game currently, because I'm doing the same thing as you, and Deshaun Watson is playing on Madden 23, 22.
I'm watching Baker play Big Ben, so.
So currently it's saying 17-0 about the start of the third quarter, but I don't think he's shown that potential this year. I don't think he's the same caliber player he was. I mean, he's been out for a year and a half plus, you know. I don't think he's the same caliber player he was, and can he get back to that point? Maybe.
I'll say this, Cleveland.
No, definitely not the same caliber of player he was. But if you have been watching him, he's gotten better each week that he's played, which is what makes me worried.
I don't disagree with that statement.
I hear you on that one, but is that he's gotten better, or is that the Steelers debate this year? Was the Steelers really bad in the first 7 weeks, or did we just play really good teams? You know, is it the chicken? Is it the egg, Gingy?
I don't know. We're going to find out this Sunday, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. That's for sure. Who's out? I saw Trey Norwood's out this week for the Steelers. A couple guys questionable. I believe one of them is also Minka Fitzpatrick, who got himself the Steelers MVP award.
Questionables.
Steeler MVP award, Gingy. Big deal there for Minka. And is he going to ball out if he plays this week against the Brownies?
Absolutely essential part of that defense, especially with the prolonged absence of TJ throughout the season with injury. Hell yeah, well, I'll talk a little bit more about that later.
That's fair. Laskers, Steelers are on offense. Do you expect them to open it up a bit more this week against the Browns? Try to maybe pass the ball a little bit more early rather than the run, punt thing that seems to become weird dealio. And a fun fact, Kenny Pickett, again, over 50% of the Steelers' drives end in points or point opportunities, so either field goal attempts or touchdowns. Can the Steelers keep scoring over 50% of their drives? And at what point do they start actually scoring touchdowns rather than field goals, Laskers?
So to answer your first question, no, I continue to see them run until the wheels fall off. But I don't think we're at the point where we don't score on 50%. And I still don't think we're at the point where it's not based off of field goals.
Laskers is
Unfortunately.
sticking with his season X factor till the bitter end here on that.
Well, no.
Gingy.
I already said that I'm not happy with, and I said that we need to challenge him. So I'm not saying I'm happy with him.
No, but you're saying he's going to be a big X factor. That was my only point. It wasn't trying to infer anything else there. Gingy, I want to point out one matchup that has me very curious because somehow Dan Moore Jr. has shut down Myles Garrett in all their previous matchups. Is there any way that we see that happen again? And can Dan Moore manage to keep Myles Garrett at bay?
I don't know how. I don't know why. But I want more of it.
Very well played. I like that there.
And they have rookies on the other side.
Do we see the Steelers offense putting up over the 20-point percentile is really going to be, again, my biggest view of this game. But let's get to the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, last week the Steelers run the Bear defense. It doesn't work very well. I doubt we run that again this week against a lot more likely to throw the ball Cleveland Browns. So my biggest question is, defensively, are you looking for a different alignment this week of the linebackers? Do you expect to see more three safety package with Terrell Edmonds dropping down to be an in-the-box safety a la linebacker, maybe more Devin Bush out there? Or are you wanting to see more Robert Spillane and Mark Robinson in there despite their coverage liabilities? What are you guys looking for?
I'm looking for that extra safety in the box. We need to. Chubb is a bigger threat than Dobbins is on the other side of the ball, and I understand that Huntley does have legs, but not near the legs that Lamar would have if he was playing. And honestly, I think Cleveland could be a bigger running threat than the Ravens could be to us. So I'd like to see that extra guy in there.
I agree. I agree 100% with Gingy. Is the Chubb is definitely a bigger threat than the Ravens, and I think they're still trying to protect Deshaun to make sure that he doesn't get hurt or any of that kind of stuff. Even though it doesn't really matter because they're not in the playoff hunt, but I think that they're going to try to run the ball down our throat.
They might do it too if we're not careful.
So when we look at the Browns, the offense to me has been their shortcoming. I mean, the first game against Houston, they put up 27 with Deshaun. Second game against Cincy, they put up 10. Third game against Baltimore, they put up 13. The fourth game against New Orleans, they only put up 10. And this week, they played Washington, and they put up 24. But let's be honest, didn't Carson Wentz throw 3 gift interceptions to him to set him up for a lot of those points? So you're looking at an offense that hasn't scored very many points. To me, I think the Steelers...
3 interceptions.
I think the Steelers actually bowled well for this game because the way the Browns are going to beat you is big plays. I want to see the Steelers crowd the box and play a high safety. Minka should be playing high all game. I play single high safety in the box, and I say, if you're going to drive the ball 80 yards and score, good luck because you haven't shown the ability to do that all year. That's my personal take of it. As like I said, I haven't seen much from Deshaun Watson that makes me really think he's going to throw the ball over the top, because I think their 2 long touchdowns this year when Deshaun has played was a run play and like a 6-yard pass that got taken like 70 yards by a wide receiver. I haven't seen the explosiveness of that Browns offense like, was it 2 years ago with Baker Mayfield when they were just able to light it up all the time? That's the one we lost to him in the playoffs, right? Was that 2 years ago? 2 or 3, I don't remember which.
I think it was 2 years ago.
That's what I thought. I haven't seen that explosiveness. So really, I think you play this week the run-stopping linebackers. My biggest fear is they put Miles Jack in there because, honestly, I'm just absolutely sick of the Steelers acquiring Jacksonville Jaguar linebackers because none of them seem to work out ever. But that's neither here nor there. I guess, you guys got any closing thoughts on this game? Anything else in the NFL going on right now that catches your twinkle of your eye, so to speak?
So 2 years ago is 12-5. Oh wait, that's the date. Never mind. Sorry.
Catching my eye going to be oh my goodness, week 18, donkey, ton of crazy division games this weekend, lots of playoff implications everywhere, AFC, NFC. We got a good game deciding the NFC North this weekend, I believe.
NFC North is already decided.
Playoff spot between the Packers and the Lions.
Gingy, thank you for bringing that up. Again, the NFL says, screw competitive fairness. We are going to move the Detroit-Green Bay game to Sunday night, even though Seattle, who's a huge part of that, plays earlier. Seattle wins. Detroit gets eliminated before they even play on Sunday night. Seattle loses. Both teams are playing for a playoff game. But I cannot believe the NFL loves Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers so much that they are giving him the opportunity to play against a deflated Detroit team that might lose their playoff hopes before they even step on the field on Sunday night. That is beyond complete garbage. And thank you for bringing that up because I forgot.
Look at how many games this year that they flexed in for Sunday night that shouldn't have ever been flexed in.
I don't mind flexing in. I don't mind flexing out. I understand that. CBS and Fox get to protect whatever game they like, and then NBC can pick the rest of the litter because that's how they make money. I get it. No problems with that. The real only problem is when competitive fairness becomes the problem, Laskers, right? Mm-hmm. Competitive fairness to me is the problem, and that's happening this week in 2 different cases. The Kansas City game being played early hurts competitive fairness, not as much now, but it could have really hurt competitive fairness for the Steelers because if the Bills won last week and the Chiefs lost this Saturday, there is a chance the Bills rest their starters in a game the Steelers need the Bills to win. And then you talk about Seattle playing Detroit, or Seattle, Detroit, and Green Bay. They have to be played at the same time because all those games affect each other. And you're giving such a huge benefit to Green Bay by having Seattle potentially eliminate Detroit before they even play on Sunday.
All true. Definitely the cancellation of Buffalo Cincy, like we talked about earlier, adds more complexity into this issue. I don't know if there's any way that you make it fair for everybody.
It's pretty simple how you make it fair. No way. No, there's one game that should have been flexed to a different time frame. And if there's going to be a Sunday night football game, how the hell is it not the only game that doesn't affect any other game and is a game in and of itself that only matters to itself? The Jaguars and the damn Titans. That game is for a division and doesn't mean snot to anybody else. Literally means nothing to anybody else. And here's the other fun one you play, because it doesn't affect anything. The Saturday games should have been the 2 AFC East games, because I guess you could say, well, they could affect the Steelers' playoff hopes, but if the Steelers' playoff hopes could get dashed either way on that. If you would have put whatever team wins and then doesn't get a chance, and then the other one there, because obviously the Steelers need New England to lose to, or are they playing Buffalo? I believe New England's playing Buffalo and Miami's playing the Jets. Let's go, Jets. Can't believe I'm rooting for you, but come on, get it done. Yeah. The thing is, you have to figure out a way to have competitive balance. And I've said this all along. If you're able to flex a game then you flex a game. But why are we playing games on Saturday when competitive fairness, it shouldn't be the almighty dollar. It should be competitive fairness that matters here. And let's be honest, every NFC game should start at 4 o'clock and every AFC game should start at 1 o'clock. And any game that of its own doesn't matter to someone else should have the potential to be the Sunday night game. Outside of that, every game needs to be played at the same time for fairness. I mean, how the hell does every soccer league in history understand this and they play the games at the same time so that teams don't get to just sit down and do nothing? How do soccer teams get this right and the
It's been
NFL
around longer,
every
Donkey.
year blow it? Huh?
It's been around longer, that's how.
I just don't get how they talk about competitive fairness and then you go and big surprise, who gets the biggest benefits of them all? The Kansas City Chiefs by playing early. Of course, Patrick Mahomes. The big help to a team like Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. What a big surprise. It's sick to see the NFL care more about making money than competitive fairness, yet we know it happens all the time. It's just, Gingy, I guess I'm just old and I'm tired of it.
I hear you. It's a business, but if you think the Jaguars Titans are even going to pull remotely the same ratings as Lions Packers will on Sunday night, then the NFL
You
knows
don't want to
something that
see
you
Sunshine
don't.
and his gorgeous hair
It's
play out
not
there
going
in
to happen.
Jacksonville.
Not even remotely close. Half as many people watch that Titans Jags game as the Lions Packers. I guarantee it.
I'm just telling you, you don't want to watch Sunshine with his golden hair play for the championship, Genji? The division championship?
I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't. No. Don't care. Here we go, Steelers.
That's fair.
Homer.
All right, let's get into some picks. We've been
True.
here long enough. We've been having too much fun. We have one other AFC North game, and that, of course, is Baltimore at Cincinnati. Maybe.
Yes, it is.
All right, Lasker, who you got? Baltimore at Cincinnati.
I got the Bengals by 10. And, I actually want to pick the Bills game this week, too. I won't do it unless you guys want to.
You can throw it out there for a Bills game pick, Laskers. I'll give you one more. You have to make up a week of missed games anyway, so here, sure. Have at it.
33-3 Bills.
That's a lot
Boy,
of DeMar Hamlin love right there. Gingy, what you like in the Bengals-Ravens game?
Give me the Bengals. Ravens are trash.
I'm not going to say that, but I too like the Bengals in that game. Gingy, before we get to the Steelers game, we got to break down, because someone, Laskers, asked me what the overall picks were. Well,
I never asked you.
Someone asked me.
No one asked you. You just told me.
Well, someone said it'd be cool if we tracked it all. Don't ask me who. Someone go back and watch all the episodes and the VODs and give me that answer. So overall,
that might have been me, but
we have Donkey sitting at 33-19, 8-8 Steeler picks. We got Gingy sitting at 31-21, 9-7 in Steelers picks. Only picked against the Steelers once this year, and that's the Buffalo game. He got it right. We got Laskers 26-55, 9-7 in Steelers game, and the guy who's most likely to pick against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the least homer of the homers here is Laskers. That brings us to the Steelers game, though. Cleveland Browns coming to Pittsburgh. Playoff hopes on the line. Laskers, what you seeing?
17-13 Pittsburgh Steelers.
X Factor, since I forgot to say it.
Yeah, you did. Ooh.
I'm about to play Jeopardy music for Laskers.
You should.
Do 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 do.
Minka.
This is how you get DC.
Minka Fitzpatrick, and the reason I say that is he's on the pace to do something that only one other Pittsburgh Steeler has done in the last 20 years, 30 years, I don't remember what it was, with interceptions, being tied or in the lead for interceptions.
It's a good stat to have. Gingy, score, team winner, X Factor, of course.
And I guess I should say in the NFL.
Give me the Steelers. Give me them 24-18. Give me an X factor of Deontay Johnson. Like to see it. Now, Laskers made some good points earlier about 36 yards for a leading receiver on the team. I'd like to see somebody change that next week.
Hey, the week before, all three of the big guys broke over 50 yards, so that was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Let's see. I like 20 to 18 Pittsburgh Steelers winning it in a close one by 2. I like your X factor to be TJ Watt, because last time TJ played against this backup, he had himself 4 sacks. So I have to say X factor there to TJ Watt, with a side note of Cam Sutton as X factor number 2, because he doesn't get talked about enough, and someone please pay Cam Sutton the money he's worth, because he's the only cornerback on this team worth a darn. I guess that means shout out time. Let's go to Laskers.
I'm actually at 2 because, it's appropriate. DeMar Hamlin, shout out, young man, that you are actually still alive, and we are all very happy on that fact. And my second one would be actually Jaylen Warren. Don't get enough love from anyone, but you did a really good job running the ball last week.
JJ!
My shout out, Donkey, I might have alluded to, had a little foreshadowing earlier towards it, but I said that I was going to talk about Minkah Fitzpatrick, MVP, chosen by the locker room for the Steelers this year. Really stepping up, showing that leadership like you talked about last week, Donkey. Stepping up again, closing out another game with another interception. Booyah. Shout out Minkah Fitzpatrick, Steelers MVP.
That's good to see. I have to do much like Laskers and say, sending all my love and prayers to DeMar Hamlin. Like I said, watched him for a long time, and great to hear all the positive news about him. But my Steelers shout out has to be the boy KP8, Mr. Small Hands himself. Mr. Not going to be able to play in the cold. Mr. Not going to be able to get it done in AFC North football because his hands are too small and he can't throw it in the cold. Well, that's back-to-back weeks. I think he threw it pretty well in the cold. So KP8 has to be my shout-out this week because Kenny went, Kenny conquered, Kenny did his thing. And hopefully there's more of it to come and a lot more of it to come if you're a Steelers fan for more than just a bandwagon season. Last time, let you know, I'm Viking Donkey, Viking_Donkey on Twitch and Twitter, your daily dose of Donkey with Ginger's YouTube channel. Leave us a like, comment, follow. Tell us what you think. Tell us, did you enjoy the anti-NFL rants or the pro-NFL rants? Is that something you think is fun? Are we taking up too much of your time? Should there be a time frame on the episode? All good comments to let us know. Laskers to you.
Laskers everywhere, and no, there shouldn't be a time frame on our podcast. If you don't want to listen to us, well, then too bad. But over to you, Gingy.
It's the Mutant Gingy. We hanging out, boys. What as we come to the end of this regular season, boys, it's been a good one. We've seen some things. We're heading into the last week, week 18. Could we might see the last week of Steelers football this week. It's quite possible. If we do, it's been a good ride. Get them towels warmed up, folks. One last ride. Wave them if you got them. Here we go, Steelers.